Nearly half of the United States is experiencing a surge of new coronavirus cases. 5 states reported over 1,000 new cases Thursday. Texas reported over 2,000. This week, Houston is seeing the biggest spike in new cases since the pandemic began. Officials say they are close to bringing back stay-at-home orders.
Thousand new cases and hundreds of deaths every day. More than 115,000 people have died so far of the coronavirus. And while the situation is improving in some of the hardest hit cities in the Northeast, there's an alarming rise in cases in the South and the West as states move to reopen. Florida and Texas both reported record daily high numbers of cases this week. And today, Tulsa County, Oklahoma, reported its highest ever daily increase in cases. Tulsa is where Donald Trump plans to hold a campaign rally 1 week from tonight in an outdoor arena, even though Trump's own CDC just released new guidelines that say that the highest risk of coronavirus is in, quote, large in-person gatherings where it's difficult for individuals to remain spaced at least 6 feet apart and attendees travel from outside the local area, end quote. That might be why the campaign is making attendees sign waivers saying they can't sue if they contract coronavirus.
This was seen at Tuesday's Orange County Board of Supervisors meeting.
I have been discriminated 5 times in the last 2 days. I have been actually turned away. I cannot go in these businesses without a mask.
You're telling me that I have to breathe in CO2 when God gave this body the ability to extract that from my body, and now you want me to put it back in my body. I have natural rights as a sovereign citizen of the United States.
By continuing to keep people in masks, separated and out of work with no legitimate cause, you are kneeling on the necks of the people, and you are continuing to act in a thuggish manner.
Guys, it's over. Like, really? Like, you know? I mean, are we still talking about this?
This is not the way a virus and a pandemic acts. It will slow down in some places. It'll pop up in other places. And any major state or any major city, rather, in the U.S. That thinks they're somehow not vulnerable to getting this virus is really fooling themselves and putting a lot of people in danger.
There's a few tools we have in our toolkit to deal with a public health crisis, and one of those, the most powerful, is messaging and consistent messaging from the top. And if you have a privileged position like being U.S. Surgeon General, for example, advising the president, you shouldn't be sitting next to the president in Dallas yesterday saying the curve is flattening, just as the next day headlines are saying Texas is suffering from its highest daily infection rates ever since this pandemic began. It's just the cognitive dissonance and the distortion of reality is mind-numbing, and it shouldn't come from the Surgeon General. What happened to do no harm?
We have, as you pointed out, at our highest levels of leadership, we have people who are just blatantly ignoring a preventable illness. And I emphasize that because all the things you just talked about with the governor are ways to prevent the deaths that are occurring.
I think we're going to have to kind of reintroduce some pretty stringent measures in places where it's popping up and the frequency, the prevalence is jumping like it is. It's very dangerous, and we're going to have more and more fatalities.